What started out as a small technology hub has grown to a leading IT powerhouse in the Philippines. Now, on its 40th year, global tech consulting firm Accenture Philippines is hoping to enable more businesses reinvent as AI disrupts and redefines the future of work. With us now on Thought Leaders, Ambe Tierro, Country Managing Director and Technology Lead for Accenture in the Philippines. Good to have you with us, Ambe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Cathy, for having me again.
And congratulations on your 40th year.
Yes, thank you. We're so proud. This year, we're celebrating the 40th year of Accenture in the Philippines. And our theme is powering reinvention. And I feel like that theme is so relevant because we started Accenture with a few hundred people, and now we've scaled. And it's not just the scale, but also the scope of what we do. Now, and we have reinvented ourselves while helping our clients reinvent their businesses.
So, interesting that you mentioned you just started with a few hundred, and now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 85,000
across the Philippines.
Across
yes.
the Philippines,
yes,
that's a huge quantum there. It says a lot about the toss-up between the disappearing jobs and the transformation of work that we often talk about, and the fear of losing work.
Yep. So I talk about 40 years. I have seen most of that. I started in Accenture 34 years ago.
And congratulations on that. And that's all spent here in Accenture Philippines.
Yes. Well, I have been on foreign assignments with Accenture, but I've always been part of Accenture. And so what I knew then, because I graduated with a computer science degree, and so the technical context has changed or continues to change, and yet we have managed to evolve with the times and grow not just our capabilities but also the business. And so that makes us optimistic about continuing to grow our business as we adapt to these new technologies.
So the key is adapt. In your 40 years and how you've seen things work out, has the Philippines been able to adapt at every single innovation that's come through?
Yes, I believe so. Especially, we're proud about our workforce in the Philippines. As you said, we have more than 85,000 today, and we're always promoting a learning culture, Cathy. So the skills of our people, we're always trying to get ahead. No, so. While we're maybe implementing one thing with our clients, we're all required, even at my level, we're all required to learn something, what's coming, so that we can apply it to our client work. And so I think the Filipinos are very resilient and very open to learning new things as long as you provide that opportunity.
But then when you talk about the business process outsourcing industry, there have been studies that have come out that they're being diminished because of AI and the use of virtual assistants. So that, to any observer, might look like a loss of jobs because of innovation.
So our point of view in Accenture is with AI and Gen AI, any role, any given job, three things will happen. Okay, so a part of the job will be automated, a part of it will be augmented or assisted, and the rest is unchanged. Okay, and so we have been looking at our roles, the jobs that people do, and applying that principle. And you will find that people welcome the assistance from AI, and it improves employee experience as well as eventually the customer experience. So you mentioned the BPO industry. Yes, I think there is a lot of opportunities. I would like to use the word opportunities for whether it's augmentation or automation. But at the same time, there's also an opportunity to create different um, jobs, no, for people. So within the IBPAP industry, they're reporting positive growth this calendar year, and I think we will continue to see technology create more jobs. So in Accenture, we like to see this as a net gain for us, for as long as we either upskill or reskill our people. No? So I don't think it's going to be the same jobs. Plus, even the same job will be done differently because now it will be enhanced with technology.
And a lot also depends on the other side of the equation, which is really digital adoption. Compared to other countries in the ASEAN, we're kind of behind. And I guess that is both a blessing and a curse. Behind, but not too fast to replace jobs any faster. Is that what you're seeing from your point of
Well,
view?
there's been, I believe I know the research you're referring to. But see, I think there's been a lot of action that's been done, and from where I stand, at least in our industry, in IT BPM, we're 8% of the economy, and so amongst ourselves, we say, we're too big to fail. We need to continue to make our industry relevant. And for Accenture, we have pushed more innovation. We have, as you know, Cathy, we have not just the spaces, but also learning. We have trained our people in the last year. We've invested so much globally. Accenture spends close to $1 billion on training every year, and the Philippines is included there with skills like cybersecurity, AI, Gen AI, and so I think the training plus creating events or opportunities like innovation competitions. And in our Gen AI studio, which we opened just earlier this year in January, we have welcomed so many, not just clients, but also students and different companies, locally. And the space is meant to inspire people and also get to touch and feel what AI is, because I think with a lot of people, if you're not very familiar with it, then you're scared. You're scared of it, and you read the supposedly negative things that can happen with AI. But I think knowledge is power. So and that's part of what we want to achieve with the Gen AI Studio, to advocate and to make sure people get a balanced view and really experience what it means.
And it also helps when there's governments enabling and scaling and also supporting private industries in the way of AI. But as we know, President-elect Trump will take power from next year, from January. And we do know from his first term that he'd been pretty protectionist in his policies, impacting the technology industry. How are you now preparing for this, Accenture-wide, especially in the Philippine market, an emerging market, with the geopolitical layer of the Philippines being a friend of America, but then you've got those protectionist policies possibly also impacting BPOs negatively?
Um, you know, I prefer to focus on what we can control, no? And I'll share with you. There's a survey that we do every year. It's Pulse of Change survey, and this is a global survey that Accenture does with more than 3,000 C-level executives, and they're asked to rate the causes of disruption. Okay, and in the last 3 years, the number one cause is technology, vis-a-vis factors like geopolitics, climate, and other factors. So I think technology would be that would be our sweet spot, I suppose. because the others you can't control, right? Like what politicians will do. Plus, the AI policy in different countries are still evolving, including ours. And in our research, Cathy, very interesting. While technology is the number one disruptor, the answer is also technology. The way companies should respond is through technology. And we have a playbook now, which I can talk about. But it's very interesting, and I think we just have to see the history where the industry will continue to change. And I think what we need to do is really embrace what's coming, so that we're prepared for it and our employees are prepared for it. And I see a lot of efforts also from the government. I've been on different forums, panels, talking about the impact of technology, and alongside government officials from NEDA, from the ICT and DTI. And I've been quite impressed with the amount of knowledge they also have now. So I think people are continuing to increase their literacy about technology, which is great. No, this is what we need, so that we can counter any risks and mitigate those risks.
Specific to Gen AI, generative AI, there's been a lot of conversation about putting the guardrails, the policies that you mentioned, still being
Right.
fashioned and scoped, not only here but also around the world.
Yep.
But Trump is actually planning to free up AI, so he's going the other way. So how then do we account for governance, for instance, when it comes to ethical AI? Do you think it might be a more difficult job for the private sector to pursue those guardrails with the US administration freeing up AI?
Accenture has a responsible AI framework. It's actually a responsible innovation framework. It's not just about AI. And the features there are, well, first of all, human by design. That's what we want to say. Every technology that we implement for our clients or for ourselves, we need to put people at the center of that, the design, so that we also think about how the tech will impact people, jobs, for example, or how they will be trained, because a lot of systems fail if people don't know how to use it, right? Or people just reject the new technology. So human by design is one of them, and then there's fairness, accountability, traceability, and so these are guardrails that we recommend to all our clients and we use for ourselves. So more recently, we have recommended this framework to the government. I believe it's the ICT who's trying to put together an AI council, and we were pleasantly surprised that they adopted all of the principles of our responsible AI framework. I mean, to the question about is it going to be more difficult? I think maybe yes and no. Yes, because depending on the regulation, you'll have to design for it, because part of any implementation should be compliant to government policy. But I think no, because it also provides you some guidelines, no, which is clear and makes it a little bit easier, I think, to design the system. And for us, what we have been seeing. So last fiscal year, Accenture globally achieved more than $60 billion of revenue, and about 3 billion are Gen AI. Now we have started to look at our results, no, in terms of Gen AI, and while it's small compared to our overall revenue, if you think about it, that was zero several years ago, right? I mean, so it has also been incrementing, and so I think that adoption is going to happen pretty soon. Um, uh, 2023, 2024, maybe more of proofs of concept, like experimentation, but maybe 2025 will be the year of adoption because with that kind of, revenue coming from Gen AI, there's bound to be a lot of use cases that will be experienced by the market. So I think there should be some um, results coming from that. Um, and what we always advocate is for our clients to address the digital core. We call it the digital core. And there are three things to that. No? Their cloud strategy, security, uh, and data. And and a number of our clients want to experiment with AI, but they don't have their data fixed. No? So a lot of work happens with just data strategy, data cleansing, like what is the data platforms. Um, and so I think we'll see the adoption accelerate once our companies, our clients fix their digital core. So that's our point of view.
My point of view is coming from Liquid Studio. That was
Okay.
like maybe eons ago, maybe 8 years
Before the
ago.
pandemic,
Yeah,
yes.
before the pandemic, and there was a robot. And when I came back a month ago, it was totally changed. All for generative AI. It's become the sustainability hub. Innovation hub.
Innovation hub. We have a separate sustainability hub.
And we'll get to that later on, and maybe a merging of both concepts. What do you think will be the first use cases that's going to come out in 2025, coming out of this sort of sandbox that you mentioned in collaboration with private companies?
Oh, so we're already demonstrating there are a number of use cases, and so we see Gen AI as affecting our clients' industries, but also the way we deliver our services. And so you'll see um, uh, not just experiments, but processes where we have embedded the use of co-pilots in developing software, coding, etc., and a number different observations from our employees in terms of using co-pilot, and we've also embedded AI, Gen AI, in our corporate functions. So we've looked at our corporate functions, HR, finance, legal, marketing, and across the different processes. Accenture has been trying to embed Gen AI. So we're trying to be our best credential, Cathy.
Or a guinea pig?
Yeah.
Before it goes to the
I
client?
prefer to say we drink our own champagne. No? So before we recommend it, then we've tried it for ourselves, and it's not just a cost savings across the board, but also the employee experience, because the mundane tasks, so let's say in finance, just consolidating the reports. Now you have an assistant that can summarize, and so the finance directors can easily just provide insights, because the data have been consolidated from different sources by Gen AI. And I think that human in the loop is another aspect of our design where we don't take the results from Gen AI as it is. There's always somebody, a human being, reviewing and making the final call. And so that's what we have been doing, and there are so many examples already across these corporate functions. And then with our clients, by industry, we are showing our clients how Gen AI might be, or AI, classical AI, might work with their processes. So that's what the Gen AI studio is for. No? So demos, a lot of just touch and feel the system and what might work for you. So very interesting.
Has anyone lost their job at Accenture because of this introduction to Gen AI?
We have been, thankfully, continuing to grow, Cathy. And we are also reskilling people. No? So I think our advantage is that we have the technology, the operations business, and we're able to leverage our scale in order to invest on our own people.
So that
in
means
our
more
business.
people in 2025. Can you say for
Hopefully,
sure?
hopefully. So if we continue to have our demands, then we are optimistic about continuing to grow our business.
But I guess from the private and the client side, it really is, as you say, they have to fix their core. Would that be the main challenge across industries? What do you see as the key challenge for private companies to embrace?
So in our
Gen AI?
research, we have a research about this, and two factors that are hindering adoption. One is the lack of vision. See, when ChatGPT came out, everybody wants to try something, experiment, POC, um, and I think this, I mean, um, a high school student using ChatGPT for their homework is not nearly enterprise scale, right? And so what we tell our clients is you need to lead with value. Like, what is the value to your business of technology? Because even if I'm a technologist, I would be the last to recommend you just implement for the sake of implementing technologies. You have to have a business case, and the company has to have a vision of how they want to reinvent their business. And the way we define reinvention is that you set a new performance frontier. Maybe maybe for example, for a bank, you would say, I would open new accounts via digital technology in the future. It's like 100%. Like, for example, I mean, it's a new performance frontier for banks. And so then that vision will drive the implementation of technology. So these experiments here and there, like finding POCs, I don't think that's going to scale AI or the use of AI, and not really, we're not going to reap the benefits if it's just purely small things here and there. So that's the first. And the second reason why maybe it's slow to scale is the technical debt, what we call technical debt, which is the core. There's no clear cloud strategy because AI will not work without the cloud because it needs the computing power and the storage, and so cloud security. You're afraid of what you will expose, and so that's why. For us, addressing the digital core is almost like an imperative before you can adopt some of these newer technologies.
But first, how to make the board members unafraid, or
Yes,
the decision
yes.
makers. Would the demographic be of relevance here? Maybe the more senior ones are harder to convince versus those who are much younger in the board. What are you seeing in C-suite?
I don't have an observation by age. For sure, maybe it's also about the culture of the clients, of our clients and the companies, because I think if the culture is a learning culture, and that's what I tell our clients. It doesn't matter whether you hire the best people, but if your culture is not a learning culture, because technologies change. And I've seen that across my 3 decades of experience, and so it has to be, what is this? Curiosity is key. Like, what is this? How does this impact my business? How does this impact my employees? And what might we do to adopt this? So that curiosity, that learning, agility is important. I don't think that's by age. there are young people who are also not, who are also not, don't want to learn new things. So, but in Accenture, we're I think because we want to help our clients reinvent their business, we have to be ahead, and so there's this momentum in the company that learn this, learn this, learn this, and we're getting we're tracking our executives in terms of how we're learning new things, including myself and including our highest most senior leaders in Accenture. So
How does that work out? You say, maintaining the momentum. How would you say you might be the sort of example for other companies to adopt that kind of a culture so that they can innovate?
it starts with learning. We have recently also rolled out Learn Vantage. This is a business for Accenture where we now have offerings to address um, trainings, and it's actually personalized based on the employees of the company, what their learning needs can be, and what their learning plans. So that's a platform that we also recommend to clients, and we use internally. So every person, every employee will have a learning map, and there are also what we call technology quotient. No? So if there's something new, let's say AI, Gen AI, or quantum computing. And for me, in my leadership team, for example, we have a meeting every week, and I just ask questions about, okay, what did you learn this week, or in that client visit, in that client meeting, what did they ask? Because we also learn from our clients, no?
Do
Based
they
on
get
the
to
questions.
ask you what you've learned for the week?
Yes, yes. And you learn something from just talking to people, right? And we're very fortunate. We get a number of client visits, global clients as well as local clients, week in and week out. And these conversations are very rich, where we also learn from their point of view of how these technologies apply to their business.
Let me pick up on cloud storage and the infrastructure that goes around it, especially for an emerging market. To what extent do you think the infrastructure deficit is posing as an issue for innovation to leapfrog? I mean, you compare the connectivity in a first-class city versus a fifth-class municipality, then you get that wide berth there, that gap. And you can't even talk about inclusivity because the basics are not there for a fifth-class municipality as they are in a first-class city.
Um, I can't comment on the specifics of the let's say the broadband rollout, but my observation is it has improved. Um, One of the reasons was the pandemic. No? So in the past, the investments of the telcos will be concentrated on the business districts. But because of the pandemic, when people spread out and worked from home, those investments had to be distributed, and because the internet connectivity had to be stronger in the residential areas. And so I think this has improved, and there's no, I think there's no lack of discussion about this topic, because if we talk about sustainability, we also, it's a risk, right? I agree with you. It's a risk if technology is also um, uh, will also become a factor to further increase this divide, no, between those who have access and those who have no access. And so I think this continuous dialogue with government, private sector, the academe is very important, so that that issue is addressed. But equally, I also talk about AI literacy, because I mean, some people who are educated can get fished, right? I mean, there's also that risk. And so this promoting AI literacy across the board is also very important. And I've talked about that in the last IT-BPM summit, where, you know, people may not realize. So there's two cycles to AI. You know? One is the consumption and one is the design, development. The consumption, everybody's consuming, right? You use AI on your phone, maps. Just to get here, we used AI. And also just talking, your music, everybody has AI. That's already embedded in our phones, in our day-to-day lives. But the other part, you know, how it's designed, how it's built, that's also another area of inclusivity, I think. And the example I used is, you know, in the 90s, remember when a popular sneaker brand got into hot water because they were using, they were accused of unfair labor practices to make their shoes, and everybody all of a sudden was curious about how these shoes are made. And so I think we will come to that with AI. People will get curious, how are these technologies made? Who makes them? And to me, it has to be diverse teams that make the AI so that they represent humanity, right? So it has to be men and women and representation, because this is the bias, no, of AI. Like if it's, you know, if it's purely done with, you know, very exclusive teams, then likely the outcome will be biased. But if we push more inclusivity in the way they're designed and made, then the result will represent also the citizens. No? So that's what I also advocate for, the inclusivity of AI. So.
Why then would there be a sustainability hub when you can incorporate it into innovation, as presumably every innovation should be sustainable going forward?
Well, our sustainability hub is, again, a showcase, because we like to create spaces that inspire our own people and the clients and the visitors that we host in our office. So there we have showcase the, well, gender, our because we have such a large workforce. We have an impact on the talent goal, and also our advocacy for creating opportunities for different segments of the society, in particular the persons with disabilities. And so we showcase that, and you know, every guest, every client that go through the sustainability hub get inspired for that innovation to also apply to their, you know, how will it apply to my business, to my company. So that's our goal, to inspire people, and also to challenge ourselves, so that we keep on coming up with ideas. So for example, in all our new spaces, we push our suppliers, our vendors, to also adopt sustainability practices, so that, you know, it becomes an ecosystem of sustainability. So it's more a showcase and an inspiration.
Could you give us examples? Maybe no mention of any companies, but maybe industries and how they're benefiting from the sustainability hub, and it's being rolled out now in their respective companies.
Yeah. So for example, we hosted our partners there, our vendor partners, and we have a list of you know, practices that we want them to adopt in terms of their own employment practices. Do they have a diverse workforce? Are they using recyclable materials, etc., etc. So as they again, the space. I mean, we have been doing that, Cathy, but the space is almost making it visible, no, making it more tangible for people. I think that's the example. No, we are also helping our partners in their journey towards more sustainability. So for because we are a large employer, we also encourage our people to adopt sustainability practices. For example, in our offices, there's no um, single-use plastic, and we also encourage people to recycle and in their own homes. And because again, our scale, we believe that we can make an impact. Um, and as I was mentioning, the way we also select and work with our vendor partners, it doesn't mean that we we don't select vendors who are not sustainable, but we help them along with a journey and show them how we do it so that they know our expectations. And because of that, we have been recognized, no, by the government, by PEZA, for our sustainability efforts. And we have been receiving this award for multiple years, so which encourages us to continue to do more.
You're doing a lot with the private companies, but in terms of government and the engagements, would there be any specific policy or policies that would be a big help to companies like yourselves enable other companies, small and medium-sized enterprises, the big companies in the Philippines?
So recently, we have been working with through IBPAP, no, in terms of the ease of doing business. And I think we've gotten a lot of support from the government from that. Even things like laptop donation, because this also speaks to sustainability. There used to be some compliance with PESA, but that has been resolved, and I think that will open up uh, IT BPM companies to make it easy for us to donate our equipment, our laptops, which is much needed by public schools. So I think through dialogue and because because of the size of our industry, I think we have um, definitely a voice, no, in terms of some of these policies. But that's one that comes to mind: the ease of doing business with the LGUs and the laptop donation.
We've talked about people and your staff, 85,000 of them, but let's talk about the women, because I
Okay.
know that you've been a great supporter of STEM, training women and girls for STEM education, science, technology, education, and
Math.
math. How have you come on in the previous years in harnessing that? Are you happy with the work you've done, or is there much more work to do?
This is a case of it's an ongoing effort. So within our company, we strive to be um, gender balanced. So we're very proud that we have 55% women in the workforce, and even our senior executives in the Philippines, we have more than 50%. I mean, 50-50, 50% women and 50% men. So
Aren't the men complaining on the 55%?
they're not. so, um, so it's a good metric for us to keep in mind. But the diversity is really a day-to-day effort in terms of making sure we have an environment that is supportive, not just of women, but just different types of adversity, because different dimensions, no? Like I mentioned, persons with disabilities and LGBTQ, and so we have a strong allyship also. Um, but in terms of girls, we continue to have programs for girls the hackathon that we support. And also, personally, I am in the board of the For the Women Foundation, which supports career shifters, so women who want to shift to careers in IT. And that's ongoing, and we continue to evolve, no? Because in that foundation we train women on data science, uh, and very encouraging because their employability and their ability to earn is something that we track, no? So yeah, so I think that continued advocacy about uh, girls taking STEM and encouraging more women in the workforce is something I'm passionate about.
What about digital skills resonance? Very important to you as well. In previous years, you've focused on this. Have we improved on that front when we compare ourselves with our ASEAN counterparts in terms of patents, intellectual property?
Yeah. So I can only speak for the Accenture results. So since we started campaigning, we have about 30 patents that are pending, and there's a process for these patents to be approved. It takes years, but I think the important thing is to start, right? To get started, and as part of our innovation hub, which Cathy, you've seen, that's every hackathon, every workshop that happens. We've now built a culture where people are on the lookout of, is this something we can patent? And I think that mindset is important. And we talk about it, and hopefully once we talk about it, our peers, our competitors will also follow suit. And that's how we create resonance.
The 55-50, you're not aiming to 50-50 it. 55 is a good number, that there will be more women than
so
men.
it just turns out that this way, but our intake, our onboarding, we strive to be 50-50.
Well, you're not 50-50 at home because there are more boys
Yes.
than there are women. You're the only one in a brood of 3, and you've got your husband, very supportive husband. I know that your eldest is doing computer science.
He has finished. He's working. He has a software development engineer job, working for a startup. The other 2 are in creatives. Thank you for remembering, Cathy. But the second,
Of course, I'm a mom too.
the second is in his last year on liberal arts, creative writing. And then the youngest has just started his freshman year in Benilde for music production.
You seem to make a delineation there that they're not in science, but it's all coming together, isn't it? That AI or generative AI is enabling all, even more so the creative industries. So what do you tell them, or have you told them that someday you got to also involve yourself if they haven't been involved yet with generative AI?
Oh, absolutely. I think all jobs will have some technology component to it. That's how the world is working now, that digital is everywhere. And whether you're in creatives, you'll find, like with music, it's relatively easier to compose or mix music because of tech, right? And so I think it's part of how the children are being educated now, that digital is embedded. So I don't think I have to tell them. And they also, having this kids, like my kids the youngest is 19 and the eldest is 25, having them at home or, interacting with this generation makes us relevant, no? Because you see the world from their perspective, and I think they're definitely more savvy because it's digital. They're digital natives, no? We're digital migrants.
And we're savvier parents because of them.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much and congratulations on your 40th and 34th. Those are big numbers, Ambe.
Thank you, Cathy, for having me.
And catch us again next Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Philippine Standard Time on One News. You can also check out The Long Conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And if you haven't done so, like or follow my social media pages. I'm Cathy Yang, and this is Thought Leaders.